Okay, so you probably do this every single day. Yet, it is arguably the absolute most underestimated habit in all of health and wellness. I'm talking about walking. Now, we hear all the time that we should, get our steps in. But today in this explainer, we're going to dive right into the hard science of what actually happens inside your body when you just put one foot in front of the other.
And right off the bat, it begs a totally fair question. Is walking actually a workout? I mean, most of us already know walking is generally good for us. But because it sounds so incredibly simple, we kind of just brush it off, right? We assume it's just that thing you do when you can't do a real workout, or it's just a way to get from point A to point B. A lot of us think that if we aren't sweating buckets or totally out of breath, well, it doesn't really count. But listen, here is the paradigm shift that honestly changes everything. Walking isn't weak exercise. It's a foundational biological signal. Getting out for a daily walk doesn't just burn a few extra calories, it quietly and systematically rewires how your brain works, how your body handles stress, how sugar moves through your blood, and even how your cells produce energy. And the reason so many people already walk but never actually feel these benefits, it's not because walking doesn't work. It's because they do it so randomly that it never becomes a consistent biological signal. So let's look at what happens when it actually does. Let's start with the brain, because this is fascinating. Walking physically changes your brain's structure. Deep inside your brain, you have the hippocampus, which is the area responsible for memory and learning. And unfortunately, it just naturally shrinks as we get older, which leads to memory decline. But there's this really well-known study where they took older adults and had them walk briskly for 40 minutes just 3 times a week. After a year, their brain scans showed something absolutely incredible. Their hippocampus didn't just stop shrinking, it actually grew. They were literally rebuilding brain tissue just by going for a walk. So how exactly does that happen? Well, the main driver here is a protein called BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor. When you walk, that physical movement pumps more blood to your brain, which in turn causes a massive spike in this protein. You can basically think of BDNF as literal fertilizer for your brain cells. It supports growth, it builds new connections. If you've ever come back from a walk feeling, mentally clearer and just sharper, I promise you that is not a coincidence. That is pure biology doing its thing. And there's a staggering difference between sitting at your desk and getting up to move. Researchers at Stanford actually found that walking boosted creative output by 60% compared to sitting down. Because when you sit for long periods, your circulation slows, and quite literally, your thinking narrows. But walking pumps that oxygen back upstairs and activates what neuroscientists call the default mode network. That's basically the background system in your brain that handles insight and imagination. It's exactly why your very best ideas almost always hit you on a walk, not while you're staring at a computer screen forcing yourself to focus. I absolutely love this quote. Your problems haven't changed, but your body chemistry has. So many of us are just walking around in a state of chronic stress, right? We've got constantly elevated cortisol levels causing tense muscles and terrible sleep, and we usually don't even realize it. But a steady, rhythmic walk actively flips a switch. It turns on your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your body's calm and repair mode. That predictable left-right physical motion literally signals safety to the primal part of your brain. Add a little natural sunlight to that, and you've got the ultimate chemical reset. Okay, so that's the mental side. Let's see how this builds into a massive internal reset for your metabolism. Because what a simple walk does for your blood sugar is honestly nothing short of medicinal. There's this incredibly effective biological sequence that happens when you move. Step 1, you eat a meal. Step 2, instead of crashing on the couch, you go for a walk for just 10 minutes. Step 3, as your leg muscles contract, they start acting like little sponges, pulling glucose straight out of your bloodstream to use for fuel. And step 4, your blood sugar spikes are completely blunted. The wildest part? Your muscles manage to do all of this using very little insulin. This super simple 10-minute habit eases those heavy post-meal energy crashes and sugar cravings way better than some grueling hour-long workout later in the evening. And speaking of grueling workouts, let's talk about intense exercise versus walking. Now, don't get me wrong, intense gym sessions are great, but they inherently spike your stress hormones, and they can sometimes leave you feeling totally wired or completely drained. Walking works differently. It operates at the deepest cellular level. It gently stimulates your cells to create brand new, healthy mitochondria, the microscopic energy factories inside your body, all while clearing out the old damaged ones. This is exactly why people who walk regularly talk about having this steady, calm, all-day energy.
And honestly, it doesn't stop with energy. The benefits kind of echo through your entire body. For your heart, population studies show that walking delivers cardiovascular benefits that are totally comparable to running, like lowering blood pressure and improving circulation, but you skip the massive cortisol spike and the joint stress. For your joints, movement literally lubricates them. It's actually sitting around that causes stiffness and joint deterioration, not walking. It aids your digestion by training your diaphragm and keeping bloating at bay. It even helps fix your posture, naturally countering those rounded, hunched shoulders we all get from staring at our phones all day. But let's look at the big picture here. Because the ultimate goal of a walking habit really isn't just about dropping a few pounds. It's the longevity code. It's about adding life to your years, not just years to your life. The single biggest, most overlooked benefit of walking is preserving your long-term independence as you age. You see, as we get older, physical decline usually isn't some sudden event. It's a slow, quiet disconnection. Our muscles get a bit weaker, which messes with our balance, which hurts our confidence, which makes us move even less, and that downward spiral just accelerates. Walking actively interrupts that spiral. It gives you real, tangible markers of aging well. Regular walkers can easily get up out of chairs, they climb stairs without fear, and they bounce back faster from illnesses. Walking preserves crucial leg strength. And since it's a weight-bearing activity, it actually slows down bone loss. It continuously challenges your balance through your inner ear. And, as we talked about earlier, dramatically lowers your risk of cognitive decline.
So, the big question. How do we actually unlock all of these biological superpowers? The secret isn't pushing yourself to the absolute limit. The secret is consistency over intensity. Just 15 minutes. This is where people get it entirely wrong. They chase extreme intensity, or they think they literally have to suffer to see any health benefits. But the data is super clear here. A 15-minute walk 5 days a week will vastly outperform one single intense, completely exhausting workout that's followed by 6 entirely sedentary days. Why does frequency matter so much? It all comes down to how your body interprets the data you're giving it. Occasional movement is basically treated by your body as random noise. If you only exercise intensely once a week, your body thinks, oh, wow, we just had a crazy emergency today. Better get back to normal tomorrow. But regular movement, that is treated as a biological signal to adapt. Once your body treats movement as a consistent part of who you are, all those incredible benefits, the blood sugar control, the brain fertilizer, the calm energy, they start to stack quietly and continuously in the background. So, here's my challenge and my main takeaway for you today. For the next 7 days, don't chase speed. Forget about hitting some magic 10,000 steps. Don't even stress about having the perfect shoes or the ideal route. Just walk. Keep a steady pace most days of the week. Forget about being perfect. Just give your body the consistent foundational signal that it is desperately waiting for. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Where will your next walk actually take you? Will it be a quiet 10 minutes around the block after dinner to blunt that blood sugar spike? Maybe a quick stroll outdoors during your lunch break to spark a little creativity? You now have the biological blueprint showing that this simple, ancient movement is literally your ultimate health superpower. All you have to do is step out the door. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one.